guys? Team 117 here. As everyone probably wants, you know, Glock guys at least, everybody kind of wants to get a Gucci Glock going. I've wanted to get a Gucci Glock going for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now, and finally saved up enough money to start building one. So just kind of wanted to do a quick video on kind of the different parts and pieces that I chose to purchase to put together this Glock, and you know, kind of their price points, and of course review how they all function together. It's kind of going to be kind of a Frankenstein build, kind of a lot of different manufacturers going into this build, so hopefully everybody's tolerances and everything match up with each other and there are no issues. But without taking up too much time, we'll get right into it. So the first piece that I picked up most of the important major pieces of this build from my guy Patriot Defense Gear. If you haven't shopped with him before, you need to get on that, because that dude has some deals going on all the time. So first piece I got, of course, was this Polymer 80 Glock 17 frame. I also did pick up a Glock 19 frame, and I'll be building that one out after this one is complete. But I want to make sure, you know, that this one goes together and works well before I start spending money on a bunch of stuff for the other one. So, like I said, this is the Polymer 80. I believe it's the Gen 2. I think there's a newer generation out. I think this is one of the older ones. Picked this up, I think, for about $110 on sale at Patriot Defense Gear. You might be able to find them a little cheaper, but that was a pretty good deal, so I jumped on that. So I got this milled out here. It's good to go. It's not, you know, the most beautiful finish, but it's definitely not the worst. I don't know if you guys can see. I'll try and get a little bit, but nothing too drastic in terms of burrs or anything like that, or divots. I might have to go back in and work this recoil spring path out in the center here a little bit more, but hopefully not. So pretty self-explanatory. I like the idea of building Polymer 80 because you don't have to spend $450, $500 on a Glock frame that has all the stock parts and everything that you're just going to switch out. You kind of can spend the money up front and just get what you want. So that was my thought process behind going for the Polymer 80 versus the Glock route. But I mean, and again, you know, this is an 80% lower, so there are those benefits as well. But I'm not too concerned about that. It's really more of saving money on not having to replace all the parts on a Glock frame that really should only cost, you know, $80, $90, but you're paying $500 for that frame. So after that, you know, Polymer 80 frame, pretty self-explanatory. Again, from Patriot Defense Gear, we have this Lantac Glock 9 barrel. I don't know if you can see that. But it's a nice Glock 17 barrel, titanium nitride coating, threaded barrel with a thread protector. I believe this is match grade. I'm not sure on that, but yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Lantac 9 barrel. So we'll see how that works out. And again, from Patriot Defense Gear, we have the Lantac Razorback windowed, front serrated, Trigicon iron sights, RMR plate, Glock 17 slide, Gen 3 slide. This was again on sale, Patriot Defense Gear, for a pretty good deal. I'll be putting, you know, at the end of this video, I'll be doing a checklist kind of all the pieces that I bought, and just kind of letting you guys know what the price tag was on those, so you have a good idea on that. I was debating going on a Zev slide. That was kind of the one that I wanted to do, but that slide was actually stripped. There was, you know, none of the internals were in there. No, it didn't come with iron sights or anything like that. So this was only $50 more, and it came pre-assembled with all these premium parts in it already. I don't have the tools to assemble a slide right now, so that would be an issue for me, especially for, I think it's the firing pin sleeve is pretty difficult to get in there, and you can pretty easily deform that. So I just didn't even want to go down that path, and I said, you know what, screw it, for 50 bucks more. It'll come pre-assembled, and it'll have Trigicon, tritium sights on it, and have all the premium Lantac internal parts on there. So that should perform quite well, you know, as well. So moving on from there, you know, we have your standard Polymer 80 locking blocks and rail blocks. I saw a video on YouTube from a guy called Marine Gun Builder, I believe, and he kind of has a tutorial on kind of Polymer 80 builds. So he suggested that you get the Generation 4 Glock trigger housing with the Generation 4 ejector. And you plug the Generation 4 ejector into the Generation 3 trigger housing. I don't know, you know, if that's true or not. Apparently there's been some issues with Polymer 80s in the Gen 3 ejector. So I said, you know what, might as well just upgrade the ejector right away. It's like $7 or $8 each. I think I got these both from Brownells. I know I got this Polymer 80 build kit, lower frame kit without the trigger from Brownells for about $10 or something like that. And this might have come from, where did that come from? I got my little list here. Midway. I got this one from Midway, again, about $7 or $8. So, moving on from there, we have the Zev, I believe it's competition trigger spring. I think it's 3.5 pound trigger spring. I think your stock trigger spring is around 6 or 7 pounds or maybe more. So this is a much lighter trigger spring. Again, I wanted this gun to be just smooth and light and quick. So went ahead and got the Zev trigger spring for that. We'll see how that works. Moving on from there, we got the Zev Pro trigger. It's actually going to match up nicely with the titanium nitride barrel. It's got the gold trigger safety. This was again from Patriot Defense Gear. Good price on that. And it also comes with the Pro disconnector. So if you're going to buy this Zev Pro trigger package, don't worry about getting the Pro disconnector. It comes with it. Moving on from there, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Cogworks extended slide release. It's really nice because I like to ride high on the gun, and sometimes, you know, you get that slide release and your slide doesn't lock back. So this should hopefully mitigate that problem and be a little smoother. So we'll see how that guy works out. Moving on from there, we again have the gold agency arms. Sorry, I gotta cover the, took the staple out, but agency arms, what is this guy? The 417 Glock Gen 3 double ported compensator. Excuse me, Gatorade's coming up. So again, that's going to go on the barrel. I'm not sure if I'm going to Loctite that down yet or not. I'm going to try and, you know, learn a little bit more about it first, but that's going to be sitting pretty on the end of that barrel. And then finally, the last piece that we got here is this Wheaton Arms heavyweight stainless steel, you know, I believe it's titanium nitride cutter, and I'm not sure. Either way, it's gold. And that's going to look pretty sick too when that slide's locked back and all that gold shit is sticking out the front, contrasting with the black frame. It's going to look pretty freaking dope. One thing I don't have yet, I'm going to get the agency arms. I actually just ordered it, but it hasn't been mailed in yet. I haven't got it yet. Agency arms, Gen 3, I believe it's the Glock 19 magwell. Flared magwell, give myself, you know, a little bit surer grip on there. The grip is actually on these Polymer 80 frames, I think it's a little bit longer than your Gen 3 Glock, because I always had a little issue with my pinky on my Glock frame, but that's why I got this Raven Concealment Freya magwell. Real nice. I like these magwells, by the way. They might have discontinued them though, so that's sad. But anyway, so I'm going to get agency arms magwell on here as well. That was about $110 with shipping. from, I forget who did I get that from? Forget who I got that from. There's some random website because I ordered it from agency. I think themselves. No, I didn't. Who did I order that from? I forget, but Google it. They're hard to find because they're not in stock. I don't even think agency had them in stock on their website. So it was a random website had them, and I got it there. So, and of course, I'm also going to get the Surefire X300U weapon light here. It's not necessary to the function of the gun, so it's not my priority right now. As well as the same thing with the Trijicon RMR. Of course, it has the slide cut here for the RMR, but I'm just gonna, make sure these iron sights are dialed in first and make sure the weapon functions smoothly and consistently before I go spending that money on those parts. So with all that said, I'm gonna probably try and throw this guy together sometime this weekend. I'm not gonna film it right now. It's kind of a long, tedious process, and like I said, there's plenty of videos online already for you guys to figure that out. But so I'll be back once I have this thing assembled, and we'll kind of do a basic function check and see if there's any hangups or any issues. But yeah, excited to get this build started, and I'll see you guys in a couple seconds. All right, guys, we are back with the update on the assembly. Before I get into that, I just want to go back and correct myself. In the previous bit, I said that, you had to buy $500 Glock in order to get the frame. I was actually incorrect. I actually looked online, and you can actually buy Glock. Clear this real quick so you can see it's clear. Glock OEM frames. I think assembled with the lower parts kit and stripped. I saw stripped ones for about 75, 80 bucks. So, you're looking at 80 bucks plus $10 in shipping, plus $25, $30 background check, and of course, whatever your local gun store, their transfer fee is. So I'm probably looking around $120, $130 for a stripped Glock frame if you want to do that. Of course, the Gen 3 frames don't have much of the upgrades. If you don't like the finger grooves, they have the finger grooves. They don't have the undercut on the trigger guard. There's no stippling, things like that. There's no mag release divot, I guess you could say. So, you're still going to look at paying a couple $100 for getting that work done unless you do it yourself. So, yeah, you still are paying kind of couple $100 for a Glock frame either way. So without further ado, let's get into the review of the assembly. It was successful. We have a completed Polymer 80 Lantac agency arms 80% pistol. Took me about 2 hours to put this together, maybe because I had to do a little bit more Dremel work. I went and bought a Dremel and Dremeled out a little bit of that guide rod path that I spoke about last time. And unfortunately, I did need to do a little bit more of that. And it wasn't too bad though. So I got it done and it runs pretty smooth now. So I guess without further ado, we'll get into it. Ow, give myself a slide by it. That's a good way to start it off. It works, everything fits together well. No major problems so far. There are a couple issues with it just in terms of the overall smoothness of it. I think a lot of that just has to do with breaking these parts in and getting them, broken in. So I'll go through it here. We have of course, the Lantac Razorback slide with the Razorback barrel. When the slide's locked back, there's a little bit of movement between the barrel and the slide here. After checking my Glock, I didn't know that Glocks tend to do that. Actually, my factory Glock kind of does the same thing. Pretty similar amount of movement, so nothing too crazy there. One thing that I did see is that when you drop the slide, pull the trigger, there's something shaking around in there. I think that's the firing pin. I'm not sure what's going on with that. It's a little louder than this Glock. You know, this sounds like something plastic a little bit moving around here, and this sounds like metal on metal. Something's going on. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But yeah, I'll try and reach out to Lantac and see if maybe that's a common trait of their slides here. But so we got a couple magazines here. We got the ETS mag. Go ahead and load that in. And there's a couple quirks here. I think this is a pretty fresh magazine, so the spring is pretty stiff. I think that's where the issue is coming from, because when I lock this slide back, no problem locking it back, but the Cogworks slide release here, I kind of have some issue getting this. I got to really press down to get that to go home. So it does work a little better with the P-Mag. Again, this spring is a little more broken in, but still pretty stiff, and again, good amount of pressure I got to apply to that slide release to get that to lock back. And this is a Glock factory mag, and really no problems with the Glock factory mag. That's the most broken in spring out of all three of those mags. So I think as long as I use mags that aren't super new, I won't have too many issues with that slide release. But one issue with the Cogworks, aside from me not being too accustomed to using it, I'm used to the normal lower style mag release here. But one issue is that it does rub against here. I'll get in the frame. It does rub against the frame. I've already kind of worn that finish off. I'm not super worried about finish and looks on guns. I'm more, function over looks guy. But if you're, worried about scraping your slide up and wearing that finish off, something to consider with the Cogworks extended slide release. Before I get into the trigger, one thing that I probably am going to change on this, and I'm not sure why they went this route, is the sights, right? I'm probably going to go with suppressor height sights, something I can use in conjunction with the Trijicon RMR. And so that's kind of I wish they would have an option for you to choose either these night sights if you're going to run it without an RMR, or kind of higher sights so that you can run it with an RMR and still use the iron sights. And so that's kind of why this is not on here permanently. This is just for looks and to see how it'll look in the end. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm going to probably replace these sights, so I don't want to have to Loctite this down yet and then have to go through that whole process to change the sights out. So for now, I'm just going to run the thread protector, and once I get some different sights for this, I'll Loctite this compensator down. Yeah, so other than that, we got the agency arms trigger. We got the agency arms trigger in here, flat face trigger with the gold trigger safety there. Really nice looking trigger. I really like it versus kind of your standard curved basic trigger. So that's really nice. We'll go ahead and try this guy out and do a little ghosting, as Papa Daddy Flannel Daddy likes to say. So agency arms, you got your take up here, bring it down, and your brake. Not too bad of a brake, a lot lighter than my other pistol. So see this reset here? My finger is actually way too low on the trigger, it's dragging. Really short reset. I didn't need to do that, but let's try that again. Pretty clean brake. Little, I don't know, little snappy, but really short reset, man. Wow. So that's nice. I mean, I guess I can't complain too much. It's a Glock trigger. It's not going to be like an AR, Geisley or something. But compared to this, I need to clean this trigger group. Really pressing down pretty hard. Kind of a quick snap, and then the reset is a little farther out, right? And of course, fucking really got to pull. I really got to clean this trigger, man. I'm really pressing that trigger down with some force. And then, you know, reset again. Let's check that reset. So about right there. Maybe not too bad of a reset. This is the Overwatch Precision FAL-X trigger. And I really need to clean this. I've been probably put about 1,000 rounds through this pistol without cleaning it. So a little bit of a torture test, but you know, it's time to do it. So anyway, so I'm still waiting on the Agency Arms magwell. We'll see how that interacts with these different magazines, if that gives me any hangups or anything. But for now, I'm really pretty stoked that I, you know, built this from the ground up pretty much, and it didn't fall apart on me already. And actually everything seems to work. There's no hangups. There's no major issues. It was a bit gritty until I got some oil on it. And once I got some oil on it, it really made it run a little bit. And of course, I got to break this bad boy in. So yeah, we'll try and get this to the range this weekend and put a couple rounds through it and make sure that all works good. But other than that, yeah, pretty satisfied so far, and we'll see how it does. All right, guys, catch you next time.